Hey movie buffs! Today we're featuring 10 films about unfaithful wives. Before we begin our list of the most dramatic and emotional films, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Here you'll find only the most gripping stories from the world of cinema. Ready? Let's go! Unfaithful, 2002. This story revolves around the family life of Connie and Edward Sumner, which at first glance seems perfect. A cozy home, a happy marriage, and a caring husband. But then a stranger enters Connie's life. A chance encounter in a bookstore develops into a secret affair, full of passion, excitement, and doubt. Connie begins to experience feelings long forgotten in her everyday family life, and the deeper she delves into her new romance, the more difficult it becomes for her to reconcile her love for her husband and her attraction to another man. All this leads to emotional breakdowns, internal conflict, and dangerous consequences for everyone around her. The ending of the story is not only shocking, but also makes one reflect on the true meaning of love and fidelity. This film is one of the most famous examples of how passion can destroy and save at the same time.
This moment is your life.
The Bridges of Madison County, 1995. This film is as immersive as a novel from the last century. The auction takes place in 1965 on a quiet farm in Iowa. Francesca, a housewife, wife and mother of 2 teenagers, lives a calm, predictable life. Everything changes when photographer Robert, who's photographing ancient bridges, enters her world. Over the course of 4 days, their chance encounters develop into a deep, sincere feeling that Francesca has never experienced before. But despite the attraction and emotional connection, she remains loyal to her family, making a decision that will change her life forever. Years later, her secret is revealed to her children and helps them re-examine their own relationships, forcing each to consider the true cost of loyalty.
The Painted Veil, 2006. The action takes us to the first decades of the 20th century as a young couple, Kitty and Walter, struggle with a marital crisis. Disillusioned with her dull family life and lack of true intimacy, Kitty begins an affair with another man, reveling in the new emotions and attention. When her husband Walter, a doctor, discovers the affair, instead of anger, he suggests a radical move. They travel together to a remote Chinese village where a deadly epidemic is raging. Here, far from civilization and the worries of everyday life, the characters begin to view their feelings and actions in a completely different way. This film is not simply a story about infidelity, but about how trials can change people's hearts and destinies. Little Children, 2006. The plot centers on Sarah Pierce, a married woman tired of the daily grind and societal expectations. Her marriage has long since lost its emotional depth, and the only thing that brings her any excitement is meeting her neighbor, also married. A romance blossoms between them, filled not only with passion but also with a deep desire to be seen and understood. However, their secret encounters soon collide with reality. Families, children, judgments, and consequences that are difficult to predict. Faithless, 2000. This Swedish drama, based on the personal experiences of legendary director Ingmar Bergman, reveals the complex inner world of a woman named Marianne. At first glance, her life is calm and stable. She has a loving husband, an orchestral conductor, and a young daughter. But when an old acquaintance invites her to Paris, a romance blossoms between them. Marianne faces a difficult choice: stay with her family for the sake of stability, or follow her feelings, which could destroy her. Natalie, 2003. The film centers on Catherine,
a woman who begins to suspect her husband is leading a double life. Instead of big scenes and scandals, she chooses an unusual approach. She hires a young woman named Natalie to meet her husband and recount their encounters. Gradually, Catherine becomes increasingly immersed in these stories, experiencing emotions as if through someone else's life. The line between observation and personal involvement blurs, and she begins to question what is truly missing in her own marriage. This film is a subtle psychological play, where infidelity becomes not only a fact, but also a mirror reflecting the fears, desires, and vulnerabilities of each character.
A Walk on the Moon, 1999. The story unfolds in the summer of 1969 against the backdrop of the Woodstock Festival and the spirit of freedom in the air. Pearl is a married woman vacationing with her family in a resort town where everything seems calm and predictable. But her life changes after meeting a charismatic stranger. Their conversations, walks, and shared dreams gradually develop into a deep emotional connection. For Pearl, this romance becomes an opportunity to remember who she was before marriage and responsibilities. However, every step toward new love distances her from her family. The film depicts not so much the betrayal itself as the internal struggle of a woman caught between the past, the present, and the future she's afraid to choose. Curiosity, 2019. This stylish historical drama takes us to Paris at the end of the 19th century. A young woman finds herself at the center of a love triangle between the poet she marries and his close friend, a charismatic and free-spirited photographer. At first, her choice seems sensible and safe, but the attraction to another man grows stronger. Secret encounters, glances, and hidden emotions gradually escalate into a dangerous game where passion and art intertwine. Roman, 2018. In this tense Scandinavian drama, a married woman finds herself embroiled in a dangerous affair that begins as an innocent encounter. The new man in her life seems to understand her better than her own husband. However, as the relationship develops, it becomes clear that manipulation, secrets, and threats lurk behind the romance. The heroine begins to lose control of the situation, and her double life turns into a trap. She Came to Me, 2023. This story is told in a lighter, more ironic tone, but behind the humor lies serious themes. A married woman unexpectedly finds herself in the middle of a romantic situation that affects not only her, but also those around her. Her accidental infatuation sets off a chain of events that forces each character to re-examine their views on love, fidelity, and honesty. That's all for today. These 10 films show how complex emotions, the choice between fidelity and passion, and the consequences of infidelity can change lives forever. If you enjoyed this list, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments which films about wife infidelity should be included in the next episode. Until then, see you on screen.